Hello, this is your Good Neighbors Network headlines for July 11th through July 17th, 2026, brought to you by World Grace Project. This week, immigration enforcement remained in the national spotlight after another deadly ICE related shooting in Maine and new developments following last week's fatal shooting in Texas. The Trump administration announced a new rule affecting some green card applicants and reaffirmed its commitment to current immigration enforcement policies. Fighting continued between the United States and Iran. Iowa families learned that health insurance premiums could increase next year, and we'll explain what data centers are and why they're becoming a bigger topic across our state. Let's begin with immigration. Immigration enforcement remained one of the country's biggest stories this week. A fatal ICE shooting in Biddeford, Maine, raised new questions about enforcement during vehicle stops. Meanwhile, investigators released additional information about last week's fatal ICE shooting in Houston, Texas, and members of Congress continued seeking answers about the circumstances surrounding that incident. The two shootings also sparked discussion about how immigration enforcement is carried out during vehicle stops. After the Houston and Maine incidents, immigration officials briefly paused many routine vehicle stops while reviewing officer safety procedures. President Trump later directed ICE to continue using vehicle stops as part of immigration enforcement. Supporters say the practice helps enforce immigration laws. Critics worry it could increase fear in immigrant communities and discourage people from reporting crimes or cooperating with police. President Trump also reaffirmed this week that immigration enforcement and deportations remain a top priority for his administration. The Trump administration also announced a new immigration rule affecting some people applying for green cards. The rule gives immigration officers broader authority to consider whether someone is likely to depend on government assistance in the future. Federal officials say the change restores the principle that immigrants should be financially self supporting. Immigration advocates worry some families may avoid food assistance, Medicaid, or housing programs, even when they or their U.S. citizen children qualify. The rule is expected to face legal challenges, and immigration experts encourage families with questions to seek legal advice rather than rely on rumors. The Justice Department subpoenaed records from New York Times reporters this week as part of an investigation into leaked classified information. Press freedom organizations criticized the move, saying a free press plays an important role in informing the public and holding governments accountable. Federal health officials also continued investigating a nationwide Cyclospora outbreak that has sickened thousands of people. Investigators are now looking at shredded lettuce served at some Taco Bell restaurants as a possible source. The investigation is continuing and no final cause has been confirmed. Fighting between the United States and Iran continued this week, with both countries exchanging additional attacks. Some strikes targeted transportation and energy infrastructure. The conflict has also disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's busiest oil routes, raising concerns about global energy supplies and fuel prices. Fighting also continued in Ukraine, where Russia carried out additional attacks, while Ukraine continued defending its territory with support from Western allies. Many Iowans who buy health insurance through the Affordable Care Act marketplace could see higher premiums next year. Insurance companies have proposed significant rate increases for some plans in 2027. State regulators will review the proposals before any final rates are approved. You may have heard people talking about data centers being built across Iowa. These are large buildings filled with computers that store information and power websites, cloud services, and artificial intelligence. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Meta have built or announced data centers in Iowa because of the state's available land, reliable electric system, and central location. Supporters say these projects bring major investment and construction jobs. Others question the large amounts of electricity and water they use and whether they create enough permanent jobs. As more data centers are proposed across Iowa, the discussion is expected to continue. Thank you for joining us for this week's Good Neighbors Network headlines. We invite you to share this update with your family, friends, and neighbors so more people can stay informed with clear, understandable news. We'll see you again next week with another edition of Good Neighbors Network headlines from World Grace Project.